All right, y'all. It is a new year, and we are kind of officially starting our transition into a new year in February when we open up subscriptions again and make a few other changes that are coming. So for now, in January, we have a bit of a smaller release, just 2 bags this month, just in the subscription. And if we have some time, we might cover the Grinch coffees as well. So let's just jump right in. There we go. I'm starting a little rusty. I haven't drank any coffee yet today. Sometimes it takes a few sips to get into it, open up the palate a little bit. So to start things off this month, we have as our Roaster's Choice bag number 1. This is Keramo. And this coffee is from Bombay, Ethiopia, and produced by Debensa. I've had a lot of Debensa coffees this year, and it's really interesting to taste through what a single producing organization is doing with so many different coffees from different washing stations and how they're presenting them. One thing is for certain is that the level of production is really, really high across the board on all these coffees. We've had washed and natural from Debensa, and the flavors in the cup are just really expressive each time and really show off what the region of Ethiopia they're coming from has in terms of presence in the cup. It's really, really nice to see. This is a really bright and complex cup. It's got really, really nice acidity to it. And for the notes, we've got raspberry lemonade, orange blossom, and peach. So it starts just really bright and expressive. That raspberry lemonade, very present, very punchy and juicy in the cup. And then sort of a swapping of notes where normally we'd put something like peach to represent sweetness in the middle slot there for the flavor notes, and then finish with something like orange blossom. But here it's really interesting that the tea-like complexity, the tea-like nuance to this cup is really right there in the middle, and then it sort of finishes with this kind of sweet, nice peach. Could be a little bit of a peach iced tea perhaps, but for the notes, it's tasting pretty accurate this morning. It's really clean, presenting really nicely this morning. All the notes are hitting. It's a lovely cup. It has a lovely finish to it. It's has a little bit of a linger, a little bit of a tea-like linger, but it's mostly pretty short and sweet into the finish there. Okay, we'll come back to that. But let's look at our second cup, second release this month for bag slot number 2 in the Roaster's Choice subscription. And this is Chelchele. This is a white honey processed coffee, and this is coming from Traycon. And I picked this up through Royal, through their Crown Jewel program. After really loving a previous white honey, the Sebastian Ramirez white honey geisha from earlier this year, I wanted to see what white honey tasted like in Ethiopia, and it really presents something pretty interesting. And for the notes on this, we've got pomegranate, peach rings, and lavender. Some big, intense notes to this. And in the cup, there is a lot going on. There's a lot of tartness up front. Sweetness is boosted up quite a bit over our Keramo over here. And then the floral note with the lavender again is very pungent. It's very big in the cup. It's a really, really sweet coffee. It's tasting great this morning. I'm really enjoying this. And this one's a Kerame field blend. I think it was Kurume, Dega, and Wulisho, with the largest being Kurume. So we call it a Kurume field blend to keep it a little more simple. And yeah, this is just a really big cup. There's a lot of intensity, great tartness up front, tons of sweetness to it, and then the lavender finish, there's a lot of linger to it. It really stretches out, sits on the palate for a while. Wonderful. All right, let's compare and talk about brewing and rest. Big contrast between these two cups. 2 cups from Ethiopia, 2 different regions of Ethiopia, 2 different processes, and it goes to show what a complex place Ethiopia is for coffee. So juicy, really clean, really nice. Okay, so for the Keramo, I brewed this with the Gabby Master A brewer, and this was the Gabby Gentle recipe. This is really more of a Gabby standard type coffee, but it has more rest on it than usual when I'm doing these videos. So I opted for a gentler recipe, something a little coarser on the grind, a different ratio, 1:17 here, and it turned out well. I think the Gabby standard, maybe I would have enjoyed maybe a little more this morning. Because it can handle that, and because the complexity in this cup has a lot of layers to it, and a finer grind, higher ratio recipe, I think really plays well into those types of coffees. Nonetheless, tasting great this morning. And for rest on this, I would say 30 days, the sort of standard amount that we treat clean wash coffees with, ultralight roast styles with here at H&S is going to be the best bet. It's a beauty. I've had some absolutely stellar brews with this coffee, and I think it plays well across a lot of different methods. So don't be afraid to put this one on Spro. I think probably is going to produce some really, really nice tastes. On the Orb, the Oxo Rapid Brewer, the long soup recipe, I got some really sensational cups out of it. So it's a really nice one, pretty versatile. And for the Chelchele, for this brew this morning, I opted for the Grey Cano brewer with the standard Grey Cano filters that come with the brewer. I used a slightly coarser grind than what I used for the Gabby Gentle recipe, and a 1:16 ratio. This is a 2-pour recipe. It's pretty straightforward. A 15-gram dose, 40-gram bloom for 1 minute, and then 2 equal pours of 100 grams each, and waiting for the water column to come all the way back down to the bed before starting that second pour. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, 2-pour, pour-over recipe. And it's pretty nice this morning. It is a little more tea-like than I was expecting. I think maybe what happened here is this coffee does kick up a lot of fines, and the brew was a little slower than I was anticipating. So something to keep in mind with this one, it does kick up a lot of fines and will slow down the brew. That can cause a little less clarity in the cup, change the flavors a little bit. I do find faster brews tend to give me more of the clean cup attribute, and this cup, it's clean-ish, but for a white honey and with that amount of fines, it's a little muddled in there. Still maintains a huge amount of sweetness, and the lavender note into the finish is very long and lingering. I think if I had stuck with the same recipe but opted for the Sybaris fast filter instead, it may have cleaned up the cup a little bit and given me a little more flavor separation in there. As is, everything's kind of put together, but it's still a really nice cup. It's got a lot of intensity to it, a ton of sweetness, and again, that very long tail on the finish is really nice. It really sticks with you. For rest on the Chelchele, it's about the same. It might be ready first between these two, owing that it is a white honey process, and any process that's not a washed, I feel like at similar roast levels, they tend to open up a little sooner for me. There's a high chance this cup's going to change quite dynamically over time as you rest it out further. So with that said, I would say 30 days is probably a good mark. 20 days, 25 days if you want to start a little bit early with it, see where it's at. So This was teased as the end of Ethiopia season. I think we're going to have one more Ethiopia on deck for next month as we introduce new subscribers into the program. So I want to touch on that real quick. So for a sneak preview for next month, we're going to have our last Ethiopia coffee of the season. It's going to be a very beautiful washed coffee from Chelchele. And the second slot is going to be a very, very sweet, very intense washed whoosh whoosh variety from Colombia, from Favor Ninco. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to throw another washed whoosh whoosh on for next month as well for a third slot. So something to look forward to there. A little sneak preview. And as I've said elsewhere, we are going to open up more slots for the Roaster's Choice subscription. It's hugely in demand. We're going to make a few changes. The price is probably going to go up a little bit. And as coffees that usually fill this first slot are going up in price and becoming a lot closer in price to the slightly more superlative stuff that we put into the second slot, I think we're going to normalize the pricing between the 1 and 2 bag variants. Price is probably going to go up a couple of dollars, and then we're going to open up a bunch more slots. So the goal for the year is to move up to not quite double what we have, probably closer to 50% more subscription slots. So we'll add 25% more on February, probably February 14th. Mark your calendars. That's a fun day for us to come together as a community, show love for one another, and enjoy coffee together. And then another 25% on that probably in April. We're going to add some more roast capacity to the roastery and be able to crank out more coffee at once. So that's the general plan for now. Stay tuned for hard details to come in the monthly subscription email. I think that's all I have to cover for that. Should we talk about the Grinch? In December's subscription, everyone got one of 2 Grinch bags, depending on which way the Grinch was facing. So the Grinch is crafty. He's a little sneaky, and you never really know what he's up to. So for this year, if you got a left-facing Grinch and you thought that this was a very clean, washed Panama geisha that maybe you've tasted before from H&S, well, you would be correct. This was El Burro Lot 17. This was a batch of coffee that we had left over and resting in the green room. So that is left-facing Grinch. And if you got the right-facing Grinch and you thought that this was a clean, washed Panama geisha, you would be correct, because this is also El Burro Lot 17. That's right, folks. This is the same coffee. We switched the faces on it. We wanted to put a little doubt into people's minds. And it's kind of an experiment to test, what does bias do? What do preconceived notions about coffee do? And what happens when we take away a lot of information from what's going on in the coffee and sow a little seeds of doubt? Because the Grinch is crafty like that. So this is the exact same coffee. It does not matter which one you got. You got the same coffee, Panama El Burro Lot 17. I heard from a lot of folks about what they thought it was. A lot of guesses. There were a lot of folks who were pretty close, and there were a lot of guesses that were way off the mark. One single person actually did nail it and said they think that it was El Burro Lot 17, and they nailed it. So props to that person. You know who you are. Okay. Very fun experiment. You know, that's what it's about. We want to challenge people's brains, challenge your palates from time to time. And make you question what you are tasting in the cup and how you taste coffee versus how you receive information from others about coffee, because there's a huge divergence there. Take this information as you will. It was the exact same coffee. Think about what cultural bias can do, what community bias can do, what listening to other people can do versus what your brain and your tongue are telling you, what's going on in the cup. Hopefully that proves to be kind of an interesting dynamic to think about, talk about how much we can influence each other into thinking one thing is another. So we all have different palates. We all taste coffee differently. And taking all that information away and just leaving one little tiny seed of bias in your mind can do a ton to influence what it is you think you're tasting in the cup. So keep that in mind as you move forward through your coffee tasting journey. All right, that was fun. That's it for now. We will be back in a couple of weeks with the next video. Like I said, we're gonna make some changes. Look out for some emails and some announcements on the website for how the subscription's changing, exact dates and pricing and everything like that. So until next month, happy sipping. Cool.